Speakers, publishers, consultants, coaches, and info marketers unite. The Speaking of Wealth Show is your roadmap to success and significance. Learn the latest tools, technologies, and tactics to get more bookings, sell more products, and attract more clients. If you're looking to increase your direct response sales, create a big-time personal brand, and become the go-to guru, the Speaking of Wealth Show is for you. Here's your host, Jason Hartman.
Welcome to the Speaking of Wealth Show. This is your host, Jason Hartman, where we discuss profit strategies for speakers, publishers, authors, consultants, coaches, info marketers, and just go over a whole bunch of exciting things that you can use to increase your business, to make your business more successful and more passive and more automated and more scalable. So we will be back with a great interview. Be sure to visit us at speakingofwealth.com. You can take advantage of our blog, subscribe to the RSS feed, and many other resources for free at speakingofwealth.com. And we will be back with a great interview for you in less than 60 seconds.
You know, Penny, sometimes I think of Jason Hartman as a walking encyclopedia on the subject of creating wealth.
Well, you're probably not far off from the truth, Rich. Jason actually has a 6-book set on creating wealth that comes with over 100 hours of the most comprehensive ideas on investing in business. They're in high-quality digital download audio format, ready for your car, iPod, or wherever you want to learn.
Yes, and by the way, he's recently added another book to the series that shows you investing the way it should be. This is a world where anything less than a 26% annual return is disappointing.
Jason actually shows us how we can be excited about these scary times and exploit the incredible opportunities this present economy has afforded us.
We can pick local markets that are untouched by the economic downturn, exploit packaged commodities investing, and achieve exceptional returns safely and securely.
I like how he teaches us how to protect the equity in your home before it disappears and how to outsource your debt obligations to the government.
He's recorded interviews with Harry Dent, Peter Schiff, Robert Kiyosaki, Pat Buchanan, Catherine Austin Fitz, Dr. Dennis Waitley, T. Harv Eker, and so many others who are experts on the economy, on real estate, and on creating wealth.
And the entire set of advanced strategies for wealth creation is being offered with a savings of $385.
Now, to get your Creating Wealth Encyclopedia series complete with over 100 hours of audio and 6 books, go to jasonhartman.com/store.
If you want to be able to sit back and collect checks every month, just like a banker, Jason's Creating Wealth Encyclopedia series is for you.
My pleasure to welcome Bryan Caplovitz back to the show. He is with SpeakerMatch.com. In fact, I believe he's the founder of SpeakerMatch, and he wants to talk today with you about marketing and working with meeting planners and just generally how to get more speaking gigs, a subject we're all interested in. And Bryan, it's great to have you back on the show. And by the way, confirmed, you are the founder and CEO of SpeakerMatch. I apologize for not knowing that offhand.
No problem. Thanks, Jason. It's great to be back. And yes, I am the founder and creator of SpeakerMatch, and we are just past our 10-year anniversary. June was our 10-year anniversary.
Fantastic. The success of SpeakerMatch is really kind of instructive, really. I mean, I know this isn't our exact topic for today, but it really shows how the world is changing and how really the cost of running a speaking business has plummeted in so many ways, because instead of paying a traditional old-fashioned speakers bureau a big commission, a speaker can use SpeakerMatch and get hooked up directly with clients for, a small membership fee?
It's a small monthly membership fee, about $50 a month to be a SpeakerMatch member. And yeah, there's always different ways to spend your money. So I think that it's definitely less expensive now to market yourself in some ways. Printing, for one thing, is a whole lot less expensive and in a lot of cases a lot less necessary. You don't have to have CD or DVD or videotape duplication and expensive FedEx bills for sending out your material to people. It's a lot easier to deliver information over the web, but of course you have to spend money on web design and other things like that.
Before we kind of dive into the specific topic we wanted to cover today, I'd like to just get your opinion on something, Bryan. The traditional business of speakers bureaus, I remember in the olden days, it used to be that every speaker really wanted to have two sets of documents, maybe even two different websites. One set that was their set with all their contact information. Another set was called bureau friendly. And that didn't have contact information. It just said, contact the speakers bureau that gave you this material or whatever. But nowadays with search engines, I mean, not that that's a new thing either, but the way the internet has come about and evolved, if you know the name of the speaker, certainly you can find them directly if you're the client nowadays. So, how has that changed the traditional bureau business? If you just have any commentary on that, that'd be interesting.
There are a lot of different topics in there that you touched on, so I'll try and cover as much as I can to kind of answer that question. But basically, the difference between a bureau and us, or what you might find other places on the web for like a speaker's own website, is that a bureau charges a commission for booking a speaker. So they want to protect that speaker's contact information. They want to protect that so that they're getting the lead directly coming to them. They want to be able to protect their commission, basically. And so if you are working with a speakers bureau, you're typically going to be getting about $2,500 or more for a speech, and the bureau is going to be taking a cut of that. The great majority of speakers, however, are not earning that much, and they're not being represented by a bureau, so they can get their contact information in any way they want. They have the ability to put their contact information all over the place, and you'll see that their speakers are very active on all of the social networks, on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and everything else. What you're seeing also now is that probably more speakers are representing themselves and not having any kind of exclusive arrangement with the bureau. So whereas the bureau doesn't really like it when a speaker shares their contact information, unless there's an exclusive contract that speaker has, then the speaker probably is out there a little bit more than they would have been otherwise.
It's certainly a changing, evolving industry, no question about it. But with using Speaker Match, I mean, how can a speaker do a better job of marketing themselves? And maybe one area to cover in that is what mistakes you see speakers making a lot.
Okay, well, as far as marketing yourself as a speaker, you want to be out there and be seen in as many different places as possible. So if you have a book that you publish, you want to be promoting that. You need to be active on the social networks that I just mentioned. You need to be out there speaking in front of audiences. And if you're using Speaker Match to find jobs, that's a great place to be looking, but you should also be doing everything that we're doing. And that means that you find lists of people that are hiring speakers, you network with those people, you do searches online, you can do a Google search for open calls for speakers, check with friends and family and relatives, and use your database, go through your contacts, ask for referrals. You need to be doing as much as you can to make sure that the leads are coming in. And whenever you're out in front of an audience and you're speaking, it's important that you have a feedback form with your information. I like to have a little tear sheet on the feedback form so that people can give you feedback and tear off the bottom half and have your information. Maybe give them a little place where they can write a few notes about what they learned or what they talked about, or what they want to remember from your talk. But those kinds of things really help in marketing your business, just making sure that people know that you're out there and finding ways to get in front of people. Marketing online is great, and Speaker Match is obviously a website, so we make it real easy for you to market yourself online, but it doesn't end there. And if there is a biggest mistake that people make, I think that it is in failing to market themselves and position themselves properly, but basically market themselves properly. And I think that marketing yourself online only is a huge mistake. So you were talking about the way that it was in the old days with people sending lots of material out in the mail. I don't think that needs to stop. I think that we just need to be smarter about the way that we're doing it.
Well, I want you to comment on being smarter about that. But that's really fitting that you said that, Bryan, because I agree with you. I think, oddly enough, and it's kind of counterintuitive, that good old snail mail is making a bit of a comeback. And here's why I think that. The email boxes are jammed full of everybody who wants to, send emails because the cost is either free or almost nothing to send an email. Even if you use an email service provider, it's nominal cost. And the physical mailbox that we have isn't as full as it used to be. Before email marketing really caught on, your physical mailbox was full of junk mail and offers and all kinds of stuff and, advertisements. But it kind of flip-flopped. And that's why I think in terms of mind share and attention span, the good old physical mailbox, it ain't going away so easily. I think there's a good opportunity there.
Well, here's what I like to put. I like to put an image in people's minds when they're thinking about what they're sending to people and how they're getting information to the people that are hiring speakers. And it helps to have some numbers behind this. This is the best numbers that I have right now are that there are about 7,000 events that take place every day in the United States where a speaker is in front of an audience. About 7,000 a day. There are around 3,000 or so members of the National Speakers Association, and each of those, so those are the people that are getting paid to speak professionally. They're the ones that are doing this as a business. They're out there getting paid just to speak. About 3,000 of them, and on average, they're speaking about twice a month. So that means about 6,000 events a month are being handled by the National Speakers Association people. Let's give them about a day's worth of events in a month. That means that for the other 28, 29 days of the month, there are 7,000 events that aren't being handled by the National Speakers Association people, which means that that's opportunities for all of the rest of us, the people that aren't making $2,500 a speech for the most part. And those people are being hired by what I call is the real meeting planners. The people that are out there that are usually hiring speakers are not the professional meeting planners. The people that are hiring speakers on a regular basis are volunteers for associations. Maybe they're a volunteer at their church group. Maybe they hold a board position or something on a charity or something like that. School board, educational institution, Boy Scout group, something like that. But their full-time job is not hiring speakers. Their regular job is not hiring speakers. It's not something they do all the time, and they don't know a lot about it. And most of the time, they're working with a group of other people. They have a committee of people that hire speakers. And that's what I want you to think about when you're putting your marketing material together. If you are sending them some mail, if you're sending them something to look at, imagine that there are people with your materials in front of them at a conference table, and they're passing speaker materials around, comparing speakers. So if they have that material that they're passing around, if you've sent a postcard, that makes a certain kind of impression. If you have a regular business number 10 envelope and you folded up a letter and some information about yourself, maybe a flyer that you folded 3 ways, that sends a certain impression. If you've given them a big envelope, that gives a certain impression. It depends on whether or not it's glossy, if it's color, if it has your picture. And if you send them a box of material with some printed materials, maybe you have, a flash drive or a stress ball or something lumpy in that box, and your material looks professional, you come across a certain way. And I think the more professional you come across, the better you're able to present yourself as somebody who knows what they're doing, knows their business, somebody who is a professional speaker, whether or not you're not. If you come across that way, I think that it makes a really big difference and greatly increases your chances that they are going to bring you into any particular event.
And I couldn't agree more. So in terms of printing and what you should send them, you talked about that. Is there, sort of a budget that speakers should have for their offline campaign? Any more suggestions or elaboration you can provide there, I think would be valuable to people, because everybody nowadays seems like they're just focused on the online, the digital world.
It's so true. It's a great question. And it's so inexpensive to print something now that you can really go all out in putting together a really nice speaker kit. I prefer the box. I like a box of stuff. I like a nicely presented box. The traditional speaker's one sheet has a bio about the speaker, a client list, some testimonials, information about your pricing, and information about your programs. Typically, it was on one sheet, back in front of one sheet. I like a speaker's pack that kind of divides that up into, puts information in a nice folder with separate flyers that have enough white space and color and nice design. But you can get that designed if you go to a site like Fiverr.com. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Sure.
For $5, you can get somebody to design your flyer. You give them the information you want. You have them make it look nice. You can get it printed at what used to be Kinko's FedEx office. Go to Office Depot, get a nice color printer on slick paper. Looks beautiful. You can make something look really nice for not a lot of money. And what you're going for is a good impression in front of the right people. So by being smart about it, I don't think that you need to put together a box of stuff and mass mail it to several hundred people, several hundred meeting planners or several hundred people having meetings in the next couple of months in your city or whatever it is. If you find a job that you really want, which I think you need to do, you need to make sure that the job is available, that they are looking for somebody with your qualifications, that the event is taking place at a time that works for you, in a place that works for you, that they're paying an amount that works for you. Once you've done the proper screening and you know that this job is perfect for you and you really want it, then go all out. Spend $10 on a package, making it look really nice, putting some information in there that is really meaningful to that event planner. Customize the material you're sending to them. Think about what you're putting in your programs for them, and then do lots of good follow-up with them, but really work it as if you really want the job. It will make you stand out from the sea of other people that are applying for that job, because most speakers don't do that. Most speakers just don't take the time to follow up well with the job. They'll submit an application, usually online. They'll put an email, or if they're using the speaker match system, they may stop at just submitting the online application, and then they don't follow up. But I can't tell you how many meeting planners have come to me and told me a story like this. They say, we kind of been taking our time and looking for a speaker, and this guy called us and just kind of followed up to see if we were where we were in our process, and we were ready, and he sounded great, and so we hired him. So usually it's coming from the other side. The speaker's telling me that, but that's basically what happened.
It's a good idea, if possible, I think, for speakers to use one of the companies that actually caters to speakers and creating speaker materials rather than just going to the printer, around the corner if possible, because they specialize, it's kind of a specialty. Do you have any recommendations for vendors to create the offline marketing materials for a speaker?
No, I don't really have recommendations for the people that create it. I know that there are some good people that create it, and I recommend doing some research. And if they're familiar with the speaking business and they know what works for speakers, then go with that. I tell people that are just getting started in the business that they don't need to spend a lot of money. They can look for speaker materials that they like. Go to other websites. A lot of people have information in PDF format on their website that you can see what their kit looks like. Look for things that you like and mimic it. So don't steal directly. Find the elements that you like, maybe mix and match from a couple dozen different speaker packets, the things that you like, the elements that you like, and really you can have an artist put something together that's really good. But yeah, if you have a company that works with speakers, then definitely go with them.
Talk, if you would, about fee setting. Are there certain sort of different price points where speakers get hired more or less? I mean, of course, it goes all over the board here, from working for free to working on the what I call the rubber chicken circuit, which is kind of the local Rotary clubs and that kind of stuff, on up to Colin Powell making $75,000 a speech, or Bill Clinton making even more than that. What do you want to say about fees setting and pricing? Because that can really determine how much business you have, and in some cases it's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? You don't want to go too low, in other words.
Well, that's another really good question, and it's something that people ask about all the time. They want to know what to charge. Most speakers are not making money through speaking fees. It's important for you to realize that. It's important for people to understand that most speakers are not making money for for the platform fee. They're not getting paid to come out and speak, not that much. Most money is made at the back of the room. And the back of the room may be that you have a consulting service that you mention during your talk and people come to you 2 or 3 years later because they heard you speak somewhere. It doesn't have to be that you have a book at the back of the room. The people that are in the National Speakers Association on average, I think with the last NSA survey showed that the average amount that they were making for a speaking fee was somewhere around $2,000.
So I would say that's probably gone down then, hasn't it?
Maybe.
For NSA to say that, I would think for the NSA group, I was a member of NSA for about 11 years, I guess, something like that. And that seems like it's lower.
It seems low. It seems low. And there are certainly people that are making more. There are people that are in that $5,000 to $7,500 range. People in the $10,000 range. The higher ranges, the Colin Powell and Bill Clinton, Bill Cosby range, those are the celebrity speakers. So celebrities, famous authors, and athletes, politicians, they're making a whole lot more. They can make hundreds of thousands for speaking, tens of thousands, but sometimes more than 100,000 for a 90-minute talk, which is not common. Most speakers are not making that. The top speakers in the NSA, are maybe making, I don't know, you may know as much as I do, but maybe 10,000, to 10,000, 15,000 for a speech.
It seems what keeps happening though, just generally throughout society and in the business world, a lot of once main sources of income, for example, with speakers, the speaking fee. And for example, with authors, the book itself, those things are more and more becoming things that you do to get to something else. So for example, it used to be you'd write a book and you'd sell the book and that's how you'd make money. Nowadays, a book is almost a business card. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but for a lot of speakers, you just got to have a book because it's sort of a calling card, if you will, and it's not the profit center itself. And with $2,000 as an average speaking fee, it's unlikely that that is the main source of income. So then it gets pushed to the back of the room or to something else. And, I recently finished the book Free by Chris Anderson, I believe, which was a fantastic book. And it talked about how people make money giving stuff away for free. And the largest company in the world based on free is Google. Most of their services are free. So as you see that happening, as things keep getting pushed back to where you've got to find the profit center somewhere else, not in the actual speaking fee, for example. Do you have any other ways that you see speakers monetizing things? Because some clients, they won't want you to sell at the back of the room. What do you do then if the speaking fee won't cover the income you need?
Well, it's not necessarily a product at the back of the room that you're selling. It may be selling your speaking business. It may be selling more opportunities to speak, but you have to go in with a strategy. You have to know what you are trying to accomplish with any particular audience. You need to know what you're trying to accomplish with your speaking business in general. You need to kind of figure that out when you're working through this and when you're building your business and when you're thinking about building a sustainable speaking business. You need to think about that overall strategy. And sometimes those events are not going to work for you. If you're not able to accomplish your goal or really if it doesn't fit into your strategy, then sometimes you may have to turn that down. But a lot of times it's worth taking those types of events that don't quite fit in because of the opportunity it provides you in other ways. And as long as you know what your strategy is, then that might make sense. So for example, a professional speaker at the NSA who is regularly earning $5,000 to $7,500 for a talk may have a business model that says I get paid this much to speak and that's how I earn most of my living. But they may be willing to go speak at a local audience for less if it's the right audience, an audience, in other words, that might lead them to a lot more business. They might be willing to speak there for free. So that may be fine. Sometimes you have a lost leader that might make sense for you.
No question about it. So this begs the question, on Speaker Match and on other materials or their own website that the speaker might put out, how do they state their fee? Because you don't want to state it too high necessarily, because that might get some event planners just to say, no, this is too expensive for us. I see a lot of speakers saying, well, my fee is $5,000, but we have strategic opportunities, blah, blah, blah. And, how do you do that when it's in writing? The Speaker Match website has a field for fees, right?
It does have a field for fees, and you as a speaker get to set the fee that you want. Negotiable is an option that you can set for your fee. You can set it as available upon request, or you can put in a specific fee or a fee range. So you have options, and there are a lot of things to work through. You have to figure out what's going to work best for you. There is a school of thought that says if you put down that you're a $10,000 speaker and you go after a certain audience who has $2,500 to spend, that meeting planner may feel like they're getting a great deal. They're getting a $10,000 speaker for $2,500, so that makes you look better.
Right, but it won't keep them from calling you in the first place, where they might just disqualify you completely because they see that it says $10,000?
It very well may.
Right, yeah. Okay.
There's not really a right answer. I don't think that there's a best answer. You may have a better answer.
No,
but
I agree.
I wish I could tell you what works for different people, but I think people are different. The people, like I said, that are hiring speakers aren't necessarily doing this all the time. And so what works for one may not work for another, and I don't think there's a best way to handle it.
I will agree with you completely. It's a tough question, and it's a tough line to straddle. So, but that's something that speakers really need to think about, obviously. Well, what else do you want people to know? I've got a question for you. How many people do you have? How many speakers are on Speaker Match?
We have a few thousand speakers in our database, and a few thousand meeting planners that have submitted materials. We always have new people that are coming in and submitting requests for speakers, and a lot of meeting planners actually come to the site and request speakers directly. So there's a constant flow of people that are coming in looking for speakers, but there's a never-ending stream of people that are looking to present their information to an audience. Most people do not stay in the business for very long. So what we found is that about 32 out of every 33 people that try to start a speaking business fail within the first 12 months.
Well, now, how do you know they failed? Just because they didn't renew their membership, though?
They get out of the business. They're telling us.
Okay.
So we ask, even if they're not a paying member, they have options for staying in touch with us. We can still provide leads to them. They may not be able to apply online, but there are different options that we have for being a speaker with us. But a lot of people just decide that it's not for them. It's kind of like people that are aspiring authors. They decide that come January 1st, they're making their New Year's resolutions. They have decided that this is going to be the year they finally write that book, and they get down and decide to do it. And by February, that dream is just not happening anymore. So it takes a lot to build a sustainable speaking business, and most people just don't really realize what it is or what's involved in it before they get involved in it.
Right. That's an amazing number, though, that you say 32 out of 33. Whoa, only 1 out of 33 actually stays in the business. That is unbelievable, really. I mean, those are unbelievable odds. Yeah, unbelievably bad odds, actually. But
we do our very best to try to help people understand what it means to be a successful speaker and have a sustainable speaking business. So we have lots of marketing materials that we help you with. We help you with your marketing. We have a regular marketing newsletter that we send out. We have a paper newsletter that we mail out. We have a regular teleseminar series that we provide where we bring in experts from the speaking industry and other areas in business to help people understand what it takes to build not just a sustainable speaking business, but have a sustainable business. And there's a lot involved in running a business. It doesn't matter how small it is. If you want to keep it going, you have to have a steady stream of clients that are coming in. So it's great to have the skill, the ability to be out there speaking, but you have to be able to make sure that your business is always coming in, that your marketing is always going on, that your sales funnel is constantly in motion, that you know how to negotiate contracts, all of those types of things. So we try to help our members with that and non-members. If you're part of the Speaker Match community, it could be on our LinkedIn group. Speaker Match has a very large LinkedIn group. I think we're in the top 1% of the LinkedIn groups. We have all kinds of people out there that are willing to share their information and advice in helping you to be successful. So it's in our best interest for you to be successful. We want to help you be successful. The reality is, though, that most people aren't.
Yeah, well, I used to always say, and it's still true, every business it looks so easy from the outside until you get into it. But notwithstanding, we're being kind of negative about it at the moment, but the speaking business and the expert business can be a great, very fulfilling business. I absolutely love doing it myself. And for those who were just kind of feel like they were born to teach, born to share information, it can be a very fulfilling career and a very lucrative one too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And more people are getting into it. So the number of people that are in this business is increasing all the time. The ability to be out there and be in front of a large audience, again, using the social networks and just being able to communicate with so many people so easily makes it a lot easier now than ever before to be a recognized expert in a niche. And so the opportunities for speakers are probably greater than ever, and the number of people out there doing it are probably greater than ever. So I think there's a tremendous opportunity. It's just that you need to know what you're doing. You need to have a strategy for it and able to maintain it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Bryan, thank you so much for joining us today. The website is speakermatch.com, and we appreciate the great advice.
Thank you, Jason. It was great being here.
What's great about the shows you'll find on jasonhartman.com is that if you want to learn about investing in and managing income properties for college students, there's a show for that. If you want to learn how to get noticed online and in social media, there's a show for that. If you want to know how to save on life's largest expense, there's a show for that. And if you'd like to know about America's crime of the century, there's even a show for that. Yep, there's a show for just about anything. Only from jasonhartman.com. Or type in Jason Hartman in the iTunes store.
This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company, all rights reserved. For distribution or publication rights and media interviews, please visit www.hartmanmedia.com or email media@hartmanmedia.com. Nothing on this show should be considered specific personal or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own, and the host is acting on behalf of Platinum Properties Investor Network, Inc. exclusively.